Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Buchanan.
Nuño.
We're going to talk more good than bad, and I'm talking softball here in a minute, but I got to open it up with this.
What?
Richard Zane, his headline, Game 2, Missouri loves company. That ended up being the theme in the 3-game sweep by the Missouri Tigers over our beloved Texas A&M baseball team.
Yeah, that was a debacle. It was disappointing. I didn't see it coming. I did predict the sweep. I just predicted it the other way.
Yep.
By Sunday, it looked like Missouri looked like a flock of buzzards picking over what meat's left on a carcass.
Yeah.
And A&M put about as much fight back as the carcass.
I'm going to give you a couple little numbers to chew on for a minute, okay? 2 hits in Game 2. A&M's lone run came on an error in the 9th inning.
Mm-hmm. By the way, that was after the first game going the last 6 innings without scoring.
Oh, there's more coming, buddy.
There's more coming.
2 hits in Game 3.
Yeah.
The lone run on a Cadence Sorrell home run.
And how many innings ended with a strikeout looking? Well, that's alarming to me.
Since the end of Friday's 3rd inning, where things felt good, where people were texting, I was so
6-1.
Friday,
4 home runs.
My Twitter, my text messages, people I haven't heard from in 90 years. Okay, I haven't even been around that long. Nuño, you called it. 2 home runs. There's still time for 3. Bank on it. Since that moment, okay, the Aggies got 6 hits, 24 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned run, by the way, facing a team with an ERA, as Richard put in his article, north of 9. Out-hit 15-2 in the final game. Out-hit 26-4 in the final 2 games. Drop my notes.
You left out 2 words.
Hijo de la. Oh, that's a lot more.
At home.
Oh, en la casa.
That was.
Why are you laughing?
That was. It was heinous. I don't know what other way.
And take away the H.
Well, it was all that. Meanwhile, I saw a softball team get up like 6-0.
Thank you.
And just keep bombing and just keep at it, going for the throat. There is something.
The jugular.
There is something, some kind of innate quality that those softball players demonstrated that the baseball players just didn't. You know, they got up 6-1. It's like they went on vacation.
Look, I'm going
for the rest of the weekend.
I'm going to say this about baseball, then we need to get to softball. Okay, well, and look, you can call us about baseball, you can get mad, you can celebrate softball. This season, thank you softball, thank you women's tennis, thank you men's tennis. Like, thank you for the good parts, because it feels like this calendar school year, has been one of the worst, definitely since I've been here, but just, it has sucked.
It's been...
I want to... Tourette's here.
Yeah. I want to say this.
Oh, you can say it.
Okay. I follow on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, a lot of the parents of players and former players. And I enjoy it because a lot of times they have really good stuff to add.
Yeah.
However, then there's been this, hey, you know, it's harder than you think it is.
Maybe.
And, of course it's hard. You don't try to win, you don't celebrate winning because it's easy.
No.
And you don't get in the SEC if you want it easy. But then some will start lashing out at the fans for lashing out. Now, wait a minute. Last I heard, these guys are now getting paid. On top of their scholarships, they get this opportunity to, no, I'm not done. They get this opportunity to represent this university. Now they're getting money and all the other things that come with it. And the universities now are coming to fans and not, hey, I want you to give more money. I want you to do this. We're going to raise your ticket prices, but we want your support. But when things go bad, you don't have, as a fan, shut the hell up. We don't want you reacting. You just be a good boy and sit in the stands and give your money and don't say a damn thing when things are going wrong. I think that's wrong. I think the fans have a right to be angry.
Agree. And parents can be right too. For instance, I'm going to use Lance McCullers for a moment. Okay? You know who Lance McCullers is?
Yeah.
Astros pitcher. Hasn't pitched in 2.5 years. He made his first start and was horrendous after 2.5 years. And he and his family got death threats on social media.
Well, I'm not talking about death threats.
I know you're not. Let me. My point is, the bad 1% is what's the loudest. And I'm not saying death threats. I'm saying in general, there are some very vile, mean human beings on social media, and then there's you're okay what you can complain about. My whole point about this is, if you look at the totality of the season, let's talk baseball for a minute. The totality of the season, it has been a colossal failure.
Yes,
colossal failure. And by the way, I've had conversations with my brother this weekend, my dear friend Philip. There are certain things that I can point to and be like, this is why it played out like this. It played out like this because you didn't have Caden Sorrell to start the year. It started and lost Josh Stewart. And Gavin Grohover gets hurt. All those things can be true. And you lost a lot of great players. But the end of the day, this team is too good to be, what are they, 14th in the SEC, 15th in the SEC. The entire season has been a colossal failure with some amazing moments that I almost look at like, why do we have these amazing moments if we couldn't sustain it?
Well, you see, and that's part of the frustration, because you see that they are capable. They've shown they are capable. But then in moments where, hey, this is, I can't use the word we used to use up in East Texas, but this is rubber meets the road time. This is cutting time.
Yep.
And quite frankly, all right, look, Mike, I know you're going to talk to Michael Earley later this week, and he's going to tell you I'm dead wrong. That looked like a team to me this weekend that was ready for the season to be over. That's how it looked to me. I saw bad body language. I saw a Missouri team. You'd get 2 strikes, and they're battling. They're fouling the pitches off, and then one time a guy fouled like off 10 pitches and then got a hit. And I saw an A&M team. Hey, I got a 6-3 lead in going into the top of the ninth, right? I didn't get a call that I should have got for a strikeout. Okay, happens. All right, next guy I'm going to walk. Next guy hit, and then nobody shot. And then and again, like you mentioned, that's after you had a 6-1 lead, and I think you have 2 hits the rest of the game. And I see, like I said, I see Missouri guys battling and fouling off pitches and keeping the at-bat alive and have a great at-bats. Even if they get out, they're raising the pitch count. And I see too often, not just this weekend, 2 strikes, and the inning ends with a strikeout looking. Well, you got to protect the plate sometimes, guys.
We will talk baseball, but I think we need to celebrate something good happening, and that's women's softball.
And I'm kind of
Trisha
rankled
Ford
about that weekend.
Trisha Ford, to me, look, I would have loved to have seen A&M Oklahoma battle it out and win it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to enjoy this moment right now because the number 1 overall seed,
That's outstanding.
Pummeled. They pummeled the University of Texas.
They got demented. 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. She had 9 RBIs on the weekend.
Say it the way you say it.
KK.
KK.
When I hear KK in softball, I'm thinking KK dement, hitting home runs. Everybody's getting demented. When I hear KK with Baseball, I'm thinking the way the bottom of the way A&M's offense starts an inning.
So the softball team has taken on the personality of their head coach, Tricia Ford. She is very nice, very intense, and these games, they matter. And she is, we'll have her on the show this week. She is not content by being the number one seed. She's got a huge goal, and that's to win the whole damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, everything about her and that program deserves to be celebrated. I'm mad at the SEC. Hey, when the 7th grade of the World Series, when it rains, we just like, hey guys, we're good. We're just going to have co-World Series champs.
Everybody wins. You win and you win.
Just give everybody what is going on here? Now, I wonder, the fans who bought tickets, do they get a certain refund? Because I assumed that I was going to go watch a team play for, two teams play for a championship. I don't get that.
So
that's not on Tricia Ford or anything. I'm just thinking, why is the SEC doing that? You couldn't play Sunday?
So the co-champions earned their first SEC tournament title since joining the conference in 2013. They have 19 top 25 wins, which, by the way, is number one in the country.
And that's why they're number one seed.
So they're a team that, from the beginning, you just believe, right? I don't know if they're going to win it all. I hope they do. I think they have a hell of a chance. Obviously, if they're the number one overall seed, we understand that they've got MJ's Jordan dynasty in Oklahoma.
Yeah, first of all, Oklahoma's always great. Secondly, if you're going to win a championship, you're going to have to win on basically on their home field.
On their home field,
It's not,
right?
But it is.
Yeah. So, look, I understand all that. This is a team that makes you believe. If you just started watching them this weekend, keep watching. We're fine with it. But we've been
there's always room on the bandwagon.
Always,
and they deserve it.
They absolutely deserve it. I would love it to be the case that they're great, along with everybody else being great. Right? That's the ideal scenario. But right now, they're going to have to carry the boats, like David Goggins says.
Well, I know this. They're going to play hard, and they're going to play inspired. And they may not win a national championship. They may. But if they don't, they'll go down swinging.
Yeah. Here's a couple of other notes.
They're not going to be passive.
A&M set multiple SEC tournament records, including batting average, 418, runs 26, RBI 25, while playing only 2 games.
Yeah. They were tremendous. 12-7 was it over South Carolina?
And then
KK had a 3-run double in that game, by the way.
And then again, because in my head, and I know how our audience and our message board can think, you're like, oh my gosh, we got to play Texas again. Everything's going great. You know what we did? We slapped the bleep out of them, right? I'm sorry, I don't mean it in the rude sense. In a softball way, they beat them down.
Oh yeah, again, they were up 7-0 in the first inning.
It was a beatdown,
and then
from the very beginning.
And then you're thinking, okay, 7-0. It's great. That's great. I'd rather be up 7-0. But there was something crazy last year in Austin when you had a big lead and you couldn't hold it, right? And so what'd they do? No. We're not content. We're just going to go add 7 more.
Right.
They're up 14-0.
So, as a fan base, I think as we started this hour, as Richard wrote, Misery Loves Company, there's probably a lot more people on the Missouri side right here. Mm-hmm. Let's try to make it like like when a politician goes on a show, you got to have both sides. Like you got to offer it to the other person running for the position.
Do you still have to do that?
I think you do.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Somebody ChatGPT that.
Trouble for it. But anyway.
But let's try, for every mean comment, let's go nice. And I'm not saying it has to be about baseball. I'm saying, we have something really good to talk about.
That softball team, like we said, should be celebrated. They're good. There's a bunch of ladies over there that can really play, and they're playing hard and hitting home runs and executing in the field.
Yep.
I guess if someone was to bunt toward the first base, I think they know what to do. But the guys will figure it out. They still got 3 games to figure it out.
This is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. This is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Olin, where are we sitting right now?
We're in the cool zone, the holistic planning cool zone.
And what do they do at the Holistic Planning?
Oh, they do all kinds of cool stuff.
Like?
They're going to help you with your investments, so you can make a lot of money. Having a lot of money is cool. I wish I had more. They're going to help you with your taxes, so you'll be able to keep more of that money. They're going to help you with your estate planning. So when you're an old geezer like me and angry, you'll have more money to keep that'll make you less angry. And they'll even they'll hook it up if you so desire to invest in pro sports.
Yes.
You're going to invest in pro sports. Like, for instance, if you want to invest with Barcelona, which defeated Real Madrid this week.
They beat us down.
You could do that. Yeah. So I wouldn't know how to
so you just want to make me angry is what you're saying.
I want you to be as angry as I am.
Just go to the Angry Elephant later, all right?
Okay. I did that last night.
All right, just because you're being so rude, tell the people what the hotline number is and who they need to call.
Call David.
At
I don't want to dox you. I don't want to give your number on.
But if they wanted to call the show and talk to me.
Oh, I don't even know that because I've never called it.
You never call yourself? No. 979-693-1150. That's the Bubby's.
1150, that's it.
Yeah. It's
Bubby's.
the Bubby's Catering hotline. You knew that, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, call
food
that.
Hotline, Bubby's.
Or you can text that number as well. Let's go around the room. Let's say hi to people. Maybe we'll get an angry Nick. Maybe we'll get a happy Nick. We'll see. Nick Savage, good morning, buddy.
Why would I be angry when the Aggie softball team's the number 1 overall seed in the country?
See? One hand is misery, one hand is happy. Nick's on the happy team.
Gotta be. But hey, all I could think of when I was watching the A&M Texas game is we always hear Coach Ford, at least this past year, mention 4 outs, consistently sending that message to her team. 4 outs away from beating Texas in the Super Regional and going to Oklahoma City. I feel like that was the culmination of, that message constantly being, passed along to that team. And my goodness, they just did not take their foot off the gas pedal. It was a lot of fun.
They let 4 out of the park in that game, right?
But here's the thing. Keep that 4 out message going.
Yeah, keep it going.
Got another month to go. And I just keep on winning.
I'm very excited about that.
There was a very small part of me that I was like, man, I hope they give them the 2 seed because that's just going to give them because Coach Ford's so good at motivating her team. I was wondering, man, that's just another thing to light a fire. But they'll be fine. They'll be fine with the 1 seed.
Just keep winning. That's it. Bottom line.
Yeah, and they can do that. It's to me though. It's almost like it's almost like a backhand. You win, you get to the pinnacle, and then you have to go to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't you be rewarded something better than going to Oklahoma?
Just win it in Oklahoma, and then we can change the rules later. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kaylee Dreyer.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Pretty good.
You like the way I said today? You like that?
Nice accent.
Yeah.
She's a graduate.
What accent
I
is
am
that?
a graduate.
Today. It's like a Valley girl.
Okay.
I'm good at Valley girl.
Okay.
What do you got going
Anyways,
for
something
us?
good
Okay.
for this morning is women's tennis is moving on to the quarterfinals in the NCAA tournament. Helping them out and playing her last game at home was number 1 ranked Mary Stoyana. She finished 47-0 in dual play at the Mitchell Tennis Center.
Congratulations. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Another thing to be excited about, OB.
We've got some very competitive women at Texas A&M.
Yeah, don't
They're
we?
very successful. They're going start with softball and then volleyball,
Women's tennis. Let's go.
equestrian.
Kaylee?
And then continuing on with softball, we have a lot of people saying great things about softball, obviously. And as we know, they were selected as the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. And 7 of the top 8 seeds were from the SEC, along with 14 of the 15 SEC teams made the tournament.
Huh. Man. I wonder if there's any women on that meet
You said
judging.
15 of the 16 teams?
It's 14 of the 15 SEC teams.
14 of the 15.
I was going to say, those women been so successful. I wonder if there was any women on that meat judging team that won the national championship. Was that last year when they won the meat judging championship? They have any women on that team? I bet they did.
I think I'm going to talk about 1775.
Well, if you want to judge some meat, that's where you want to go. I've been there often. 1775, you put me the judge, I'm saying.
You are the biggest meat judge right now.
I am. Who give me that succulent brisket, I'll take mine. I'll say, This is guilty of being amazing. Give me those pork ribs, I'll take them out. These are guilty of being spectacular. That jalapeno cheese sausage, you take them out. They're guilty of being awesome. I haven't even gotten to the queso mac and cheese yet.
You are, you gaze at that meat. You're a gazer.
I'm a gazer and then a grazer.
1775.
I kinda look at it. Oh, look at that. Look, just kind of take it in, just the whole experience. 1775.
Yeah, I'm gonna break on that one. 979-492-6241 is their phone number.
You be the judge.
They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Check out the website, 1775txbbq.com.
That's good.
So I have two Aggie personalities, right?
Yeah.
One that sees.
I know. I sit right by you at
Yeah,
games.
you know. One that sees what could happen in a positive light, and one that's like Bateman in the movie American Psycho, where not that I go psycho, but like there is a complete that I only see disaster.
Yeah.
Okay. And to me, this nightmare was a total predictable A&M nightmare. If I were to draw up a scenario like before the season and tell you, David, would you believe that the number one team in the country would fall from grace faster than any team has ever fallen from grace? They would somehow make a run to make everybody believe that they can do it, maybe even host a regional. And then, well, in between, they would lose to their rival, swept to their coach that you had penciled that matchup months before. And oh, by the way, the worst team in the SEC, winless, will come to your town and slap you. It is a believable nightmare because in my brain, I see only bad things. Only bad things. 50% of the time, I see really bad things.
See, and I thought that was the exact opposite. I thought, hey, these guys have figured some things out. They're playing better at baseball. They just won a series over LSU. And now they're at home against the worst team in the league, hadn't won a conference game, 0-24. And they're going to go and make this. They're going to sweep them and then go to Georgia, win that series. They're going to be 500 in conference play, which is going to be amazing considering their start. They're going to get a 2 seed in the playoffs, and they're going to be the team that nobody wants to play. And now, quite frankly, they're probably not going to get into the playoffs. And they can have no one to blame but themselves. You had a 6-1 lead, and what I thought I would see on Saturday, after blowing the 6-1 lead, I thought I'd see an angry team coming out there, just ready to exact revenge, and if nothing else, for redemption, and going to go out and just play really good baseball. And I didn't see that. No. I didn't see it for the rest of the weekend.
I didn't either. And so we try to be as honest. We are honest on this show. There was a line in the sand moment against Tennessee. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we gave them credit for that line in the sand moment for, all right, we just got no hit, run ruled, our season's over. And then not only did I have a pulse, they made you believe, right?
Oh, yeah, I believed.
That line in the sand moment again happened this weekend.
Yeah. And then
instead of crossing it, or you went to flee from Santa Ana, all right? You did not help the folks at the Alamo. It was a different moment. The line in the sand moment in Tennessee, they stood up to the challenge and they made us believe. In this one, they had that opportunity again and it went the other way.
Well, since you're bringing in Texas history, so maybe we can expect then to have our San Jacinto moment and sweep Georgia. But that,
But even then, I mean, Bronny understands RPI and 25% wins and 25% of the whole calculations. Even if you sweep Georgia, are you in?
Probably, because then I think I don't know what your record would be now. Would they get you only 12 wins or 13?
I'll give you 13.
13.
Yeah.
So you'd have 13, and then your resume says, hey, you swept a top 10 team in Georgia. You won a series against number 2 LSU, a series against number 2 Arkansas, and I guess a series against number 1 Tennessee.
Tennessee was
1.
Yeah, they were 1.
And then you had also won a series over South Carolina, which isn't good, but you're saying, hey, they won half their series in the SEC play. So that probably salvages it, but I just don't see it. I hope I do, but I don't see that. So they're gonna, and I think if you're still thinking that this team's gonna turn it around, and anything's possible, and I hope they do, but I think you go from your line in the sand moment to your burying your head in the sand moment.
That's a great way to phrase it. Look, can they turn it around? I'm a believer in the totality of the season tells the story. And the totality of this season is the very definition of Aggie sports, it feels like sometimes. We can beat anybody. We can lose to anybody. That's who we've been.
Yeah, again, there's some innate quality that's missing. It's the frustrating thing is, like we said earlier, you see the capability, but capability don't mean jack if you don't capitalize.
The capability and inability all at the same time. You see how it can, but they just can't do it. And I'm going to bring the mood back down.
Okay.
Not that we need to go down. The ends of seasons. For a moment, just bear with me, audience. The end of football season.
Mm-hmm. We put the no in November.
Okay. And once again in December. Okay. So I'm to me, because the way the way that game ended against USC,
mm-hmm.
the way that game ended against Auburn, really the way the game ended against South Carolina, the way the game ended against Texas. Okay, that's football. Put it right here.
Okay.
Put it in the bucket. Here's the next one. Basketball. Up by 20 against Texas. Triple overtime against Texas.
It was actually 21.
21, thank you. Up by, what was it, 12, 13 against Michigan? With how much time left?
In about, 6 minutes, 8 minutes?
Okay. How did that end?
Well, it was a disaster.
A&M falls out of favor in baseball. They come roaring back, take care of business against Missouri. You might, if you do okay against Georgia, because of course we're going to sweep Missouri, you might be a 2 seed. Mm-hmm. Maybe somehow you fall into a 1 seed. Doubt it, but maybe. And what do?
They stepped on the rake and got hit in the head.
Does that actually happen to people?
It does happen. Okay. You step on the top of the rake and it
pops up.
The handle comes out.
So
right between the eyes.
The ends of the big 3 have been a big no.
Yeah, it's to say it's disappointing is so understated, right? It's so obvious, but like I said, there's this innate quality that's missing. That some teams, and see what the football team just wasn't quite mature enough yet to make the big plays when it mattered most. You saw a guy against Auburn drop a pass. You saw a guy against Auburn drop the snap. You saw the defense just drop the ball, right? And then, in fact, you dropped everything in that game. And still, you should have won. You were talking about the game against Texas. I remember they're going to beat Texas in the SEC championship game. You hit a big 3 that's going to ice it. Oh, no, your coach panicked. And he's Maryland's problem. And he calls you've got the ball in your best player's hands, and there's still, 4 or 5 seconds on the shot clock, and you got the ball in your best player's hand, and the coach panics and calls a timeout, and you don't get that 3 that would have won the game, and then you end up losing. But beyond that, there was just so many mistakes. In Austin, when they blew that game, just, you're upset, and then they're getting technical fouls, and they're just making, can't make a shot, you're missing a shot, throwing balls away. There's something that's going on, and this baseball team should have had more maturity. That I know they had a lot of guys left, but they still had a lot of guys that almost won the College World Series on hand. They should have had more maturity.
When we come back, more misery. What should have been? That's. We're going to get to some text messages, and we have some super chats to get to as well on TexAgs.com. But what should have been, we will discuss what should have been the baseball season, what should have been the basketball season, and what should have been the end of football season. Yeah, I'm going to take that approach in the next segment. Right now, we're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet. What should have been the best car buying experience of your life? Had you gone there, it would have been, but you went somewhere else. So now in the future, you know where to go. That is Caldwell Country Chevrolet. There's car buying, and then there's the Caldwell Country difference, and they are strong, and they have a great committed sales staff, making sure that you get the right vehicle at the right time, at the right price, with the best trade-in value, and of course, the best customer service. Whatever they want, whatever you want, they will make sure that you get. In fact, there's a couple of their customers who have sent in testimonials. They found their dream SUV last month, drove away in a new Silverado at a price they couldn't believe. They don't just make sales, they make relationships. That's why they offer complimentary pickup and delivery for service customers, because they know that time is valuable and your time is the most valuable, and they promise to treat every customer like family. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan, to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot. and do business with the good people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Write it down, OB. I'm not happy about the way baseball's going, right?
I don't think anybody is. And, we talked about what I want to see, and I think this is the mark of a good team. I want to see your great players play great at, in the biggest games or the important games. And you see that on really successful teams. We saw it here, years ago. I mean, gosh, I used to like to make fun of Texas for living in the past, and so I don't want to be that guy that lives in the past either. But I can remember, Manziel, in a big game, playing big. They didn't always win, but he played well. I need to see the stars of all the teams play big in big games. You saw it softball. The whole team played big in a big game.
By the way, this is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It's still the Go Hour, presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. The people are venting. There's some good comments. In fact, I think certain people started texting the show before the show. So we've got
a lot.
We've got good, bad, and apathy, right?
We do have a comment on the TexAgs chat that says, from Calvin, I've contributed to the 12th Man as a football season ticket holder for over 40 years. I've not given a dime to NIL. I used to love pro sports. I do not watch pro sports today for numerous reasons. Now, pro sports has seeped into college sports. I'm done.
I hope you're not done.
I hope not.
Because, look, there's certain programs that are spending a lot of money and being successful.
And let's be honest, in a lot of ways, players are getting paid now, and they're getting paid more, but they're just getting paid legally now.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of times they were getting paid illegally.
What else,
Kaylee? And then on the YouTube chat, Barry had asked earlier, is winning the SEC championship the only way to get in the tournament?
No, I think Bronny will break it down for us here in a little bit, but I think if they were to sweep Georgia, which I'm not predicting, I said it earlier, but mathematically, that would give them 13 wins, and it would be series wins against a lot of top teams. Their RPI would go right back up after the Missouri loss was a quad 4 loss.
What I think will be interesting is if you were to win the series at Georgia, you only have 12 wins, but you got 4 series victories over top 10 teams, and then you say, what if you win a game or 2 in Hoover? Then it's you're like, I don't know, maybe. But you're living definitely on the edge.
But I think this Missouri weekend, even though we know they can beat top teams, this Missouri weekend's but you lost to Missouri. You could lose. You might lose in your game 1 matchup on a regional if you were a 2 or 3 seed against whoever.
Even if you were to sweep Georgia and win a game or 2, I'm not saying win the tournament, but win a game or 2 in the tournament. If you didn't get in, if you swept Georgia and still didn't get in, you really don't have any reason to complain.
Yeah.
You can make a case that you should be in, but you got swept at home to Missouri, and you finished with a sub 500 record, a way sub 500 record.
Yep. What else?
Danalan on
Pardon?
on YouTube says, no way I'm giving up on Coach Earley without him leaving Schloss and TU. We don't keep our team together.
Okay, you're not giving up on Early. Okay, you don't have to teach his own. Everybody has his opinion. You're saying
he's saying
you're gonna. He's worried that he's gonna lose his team.
No. I think what he's saying is without Early, you don't get these players.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go to the time when he was hired. Okay.
Oh, I get it.
It was 100% understood. Right? You're an inning away from winning a national championship. It's understood.
Maybe even a pop fly.
Right? It's understood why you hired a guy with no experience with this team because you got to keep the bulk of that nucleus together. Makes total sense.
You went for Vitello. You couldn't get him. Okay, do what you can to keep this
at the end of the season
team together.
Can we play hindsight? Sure. Right? Right now, I still want them to go sweep Georgia. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, and I'm not the only one. But that's right now where my brain is.
Of course, that's what we want. Everybody wants that. One thing I know about the Aggies is they're going to vent They're going to be frustrated. They're going to vent their frustration. Probably no fan base has given more and gotten back less in all of college sports, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to vent, and they should have the right to vent without administrators or parents or anybody, provided they're not like making death threats and things like that, complaining about it. They have a right to vent. But once the next game comes out there and the Aggies go out there in that maroon and white, they're going to be behind them again.
Yep. So Cade says, backtracking already? You were absolutely sure Early would get it together this year. LOL. I don't know if he's talking about you, me, somebody in particular.
Well, I thought they had it together. I did. I thought up until last week that they had finally figured it out and they were playing to their capabilities. So
fairly sure, OB, we said, and I know Bronny said it, I know I've said it, I'm fairly sure you have. And Billy probably has said it too. No, I know Billy has. Not the totality of the season. If you look at a snapshot at the beginning of the year, no. They were terrible, and he was to blame. You look at April, they were fantastic. You look at this, the last couple of weeks with LSU in the middle of Texas and in Missouri. Disgraceful. Like, you don't lose those two series, right? So, backtracking or not, the totality of the season says this has been a horrendous year.
Yeah, especially when you open up, as a consensus number one. Look, first of all, one thing was wrong, though. At the beginning of the year, we said, this is a team that has the most talent ever. No, you don't take off an Aschenbeck. You don't take off a Cortez. You don't take off Apel and Burton and Montgomery and say, oh, we got better. But the nucleus was still there to win at a much higher level. And quite frankly, this year, I agree. It's been a vast disappointment. It's bordering on disastrous. And I did, all right? If you needed somebody to taunt, I'll be the guy. Because I'll admit it, I thought they had figured things out and that they were on a team that was about to surge. And I fully expected to see a sweep at Bluebell Park last week, and I just thought it'd be the Aggies pulling it off.
All right. What could have been in the next segment? We'll talk about that. Because what could have been in football, what could have been in basketball, and what could have been in baseball. And yes, baseball season's not over just yet. We recognize that. It just feels that way after getting swept by the worst team in the league. All right, we'll hit a break here. Right now, we're talking Bird Dog, going on a fishing event with them here in a couple of weeks. They do it all. They do hunting. They do fishing events. They do it great. They're an Airbnb for hunters, for fishermen. They'll set it all up for you, all the logistics. They are fantastic. If you are looking to get a group of buddies and just go out and have a great hunt, or get a group of buddies and go out for an awesome fishing weekend, let them take care of you. They do it all. If you're a landowner, they can take care of you as well. Not only will they get people to go hunt on your land, they can also get you money on your land because they find those hidden tax dollars that you didn't know about that you can optimize the revenue on your land. Some of their clients are making an extra $100 to $500 per acre of land. They have expert navigation and agriculture exemptions, wildlife management, and tax benefits. What you need to do is check out birddogit.com, birddogit.com. Do me a favor and check them out. What could have been, OB? So I think football, what could have been, they pretty much met the preseason what could have been. I mean, I think I predicted them to go 8-4. I think what could have been with football season, when you get to 7-1, what could have been was an SEC championship game and a postseason berth or a playoff berth, right? Mm-hmm. So we know what it could have been. Going into the year for basketball, what could have been / should have been your deepest, most tenured team that should have taken the next step, did not take the next step, right? The next step to me would have been a Sweet 16 Elite 8. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
What could have been for baseball was a team that lost their head coach to their rival, brought the gang back together, fought to get this guy as their head coach, and brought him back to Omaha. Seems like a long shot today.
Yeah, it's just not happening. I think you're right with if you look at what your expectations were before the season started. I think the football team met expectations.
Yep.
Like you said, you predict 8-4. I thought 9 wins was possible.
Mm-hmm.
They should have had it. But football was about, what most people expected. What made it frustrating is there you were the only, team that was unbeaten in SEC play going into November, and you tanked.
Mm-hmm.
Then basketball, you were expected to take the next step, which has been make it to the second weekend, and you were about 8 minutes away with a 10-point lead, and couldn't make a shot.
Yep.
So you came up short of what expectations were, and then baseball has just been. I'll say this: I understood that the for baseball the expectation was at the very least getting to the College World Series. Sometimes that can be that can be unfair, especially no one wanted to talk about the fact that you had lost 2 of the best relief pitchers, and we talked at the beginning. Okay, yeah, they got this, but what about the relief pitching?
Mm-hmm.
And that's been an issue,
mm-hmm.
right?
Especially in the 2 last series loss.
But probably not to even get in the tournament. And if you get, or the playoff, and if you get in, it's going to be by the skin of your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a complete and total debacle.
I can't think of a worse way for the season to have gone. Because had everybody left, there would have been a little bit more understanding and grace. Right? Oh, 14th, 15th in the SEC, I get it. Like, it sucks, but I think Bucky's going to have a lot more grace next year.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, he should.
And he may overperform whatever we think, right? But I think people are going to be there. It's a little bit, you're more willing to let it roll when you don't have those expectations. So we got to drop it there, OB.
Okay.
When we come back, Michael Earley, Ryan Broninger. We'll talk to Tara Henry, a little softball at 9:35. It's TexAgs Live. Welcome back in TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. A rough weekend of baseball to discuss. Ryan Broninger in studio. And it's now time for our weekly conversation with Michael Earley, brought to you by Duck Camp. Duck Camp, they know that the best moments happen out there on the boat, casting a line, or hauling in the catch of the day. Be sure to check out the Duck Camp new spring hats, like the fan favorite crawfish hat and the redfish hat, at duckcamp.com. With that, we go to the Buppies Catering Hotline. We are joined by Michael Earley here on the program. Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
So how do you start things off? How do you process what happened this past weekend and balance it with what's still ahead with Georgia and the SEC tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. I mean, the game of baseball is such a game of failure, and it's really easy to forget when things are going well. And, you know, what we put on the field for 3 games, I don't think is representative of the ball club's talent or where we need to be at this time of year. And, you know, ultimately that's my fault. And they have heart, they have fight, and I believe you'll see it in Georgia and into the postseason. So, you know, we're going to regroup. We have work to do, and, you know, nothing worth having comes easy, and that's going to be the mindset. And we're going to keep fighting, and our guys will be fired up and ready to play this weekend. But yeah, I mean, this weekend was tough for sure. It was. I'm a little perplexed, to be honest with you, and yeah, we got to get it cleaned up.
Coach, you go through the first 3 innings on Friday night, and to me, it felt like you guys went in with a plan of like, hey, it's going to be a heavy north wind weekend. Ball's not going to fly. Let's kind of be above the plane. Let's be on the baseball. And you know, it seemed like the approach was to hit the ball that kind of hard and down, and then the ball starts flying out of the yard. Do you think that the image of the ball leaving the ballpark on Friday may have changed some mentalities at the dish going through the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, it certainly looked like it. You know, it's tough. I mean, it felt like that for sure. And that, you know, we kept reminding them, like, I think it was, honestly, there was like a 25, 30-minute period where the wind stopped. They hit 1 and we hit 3. And, you know, I just think guys kind of got out of their plan a little bit. I think we, you know, we didn't keep our foot on the gas. And, yeah, we had a great inning of home runs, but you know, there's other ways to win and extend the lead. And, you know, while we didn't pitch it well in the last inning, we had, how many innings did we go? 6 innings without scoring a run and a chance to extend the game. So, yeah, I mean, it's like we got outside of our approach and never got back into it.
And you know this, and it's hard to go, you know, like when it's hard to turn that back on. Like once it's been turned off, it really takes a lot of, I guess, maturity from a ball club and just, you know, some mental fortitude to stick with what's been working whenever you see the ball going out of the ballpark and you know you can mishit it and hit homers. And I guess what I'm asking, Coach, is what was the most frustrating part about the offensive weekend, you know, within the game? Obviously, the run production is frustrating, but, you know, was it chase rate with 2 strikes? Did you feel like you guys were off balls in the zone? What was the most frustrating part?
I mean, we swung at pitches outside of the zone and took too many pitches at the zone. Like that was probably the most frustrating part for me, and just the inability to, you know, me to get them to regroup and get back into it. It was like once the 9th inning on Friday happened, it was just like we couldn't snap out of it, and we tried, we talked obviously multiple times, and it just, you know, I wasn't able to get that switch to flip back on.
And then, was it frustrating for you to watch? I mean, Mizzou, I thought, you know, we can talk about how you guys play, but Mizzou at the dish was really good, man. They got into 2 strike counts and they battled, and they, you know, up the middle, opposite field on a lot of their big swings were through the middle of the ballpark. And like when you're watching them do it, you're watching your guys struggle with it. Does that kind of add to your pain in the dugout?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they did a really nice job offensively. They swung it as well against us as I think any team has all year, and that was unfortunate. But yeah, they were on base balls, taking pitches and hitting strikes and doing what you'd want to do. So yeah, when you're seeing someone else do it and you're not, it definitely adds to the frustration. Plus, when they're doing that, it means they're scoring runs, and you know, just yeah, they did a really nice job.
What's the psychological impact of what happened this weekend with still what ahead, Mike? Like, what is the message to the players, to the team this weekend and moving on?
Yeah, I mean, it's we got our, we got to snap out of this, and that's me included. And that's after every loss, and I think they just get magnified as you get later in the season. And we're gonna tough long 3 days. We're gonna take today off. I just told them, like, if you got treatment, come to the field. If not, let's just stay away. I mean, we're always off on Mondays. I just wanted to kind of regroup, take a breath. Those guys were devastated. I mean, they were devastated after every game. So guys will come in on their own and do stuff today like we usually do on Mondays. But we'll meet tomorrow and we'll regroup, and we're gonna finish this thing, and it's gonna be. And the message has always been from when we were struggling at the beginning of the year, we're gonna keep playing until they tell us to stop. So we're not out of this thing. It's tougher, right? But seems to me that we don't like easy. That's what it's felt like this year. So it seems like when our backs up or against the wall, I feel like that's when we've performed at our best. So I'll expect nothing less this weekend.
Coach, I'm always interested in how you and other coaches process stuff like that. Like, so after the game yesterday, are you one of these guys that's got to get away from the field immediately, or do you go up into your office and start trying to comb through what happened? How do you process these types of things?
Yeah, I mean, we stay in the locker room sometimes for an hour or hours and just talking about the game. And I always just try to, for me, it's like my first thing is like, what could I have done better? Like, what could we have done? Because I'm just not in the business of blaming players. Well, players got to perform, but I do believe it's our job to get them to perform. And when you perform like that, you just start trying to figure out what that is. I'm a little, honestly, like, perplexed on what it is. I mean, we've been doing a lot of similar things, over the course of the last month. So, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough on everyone. It's tough on not only, the people within the organization, and it's all the people who support you. And, yeah, you just kind of – it's tough to leave the ballpark, that's for sure.
And then as you're going through, especially Saturday and Sunday, and, look, I know – when it's not going well offensively, there's two schools of thought. Okay, we keep going with what we're doing because this is our process, and then you start wondering if you can push buttons anywhere to get your guys off the mat and get you some semblance of some momentum going offensively. What were those conversations like on Saturday and Sunday when you could maybe push some buttons or try to just get the offense off the mat?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't even able to get on base to do anything. That was the tough part. And you're trying to, I mean, there wasn't a big overreaction on Friday. I mean, I was upset with some of the fly balls we hit, but I mean, it wasn't awful. I didn't foresee what was going to come the next couple of days. I mean, there was no massive change, except it wasn't a change. It's like, let's actually do what we talk about doing and execute it, and we just weren't able to. So the conversations were, let's hit strikes and take balls and stay on baseballs and hit balls low and hard, stay at an opposite field gap. And Sunday there just wasn't. I got asked about situational hitting on Sunday. I was like, we were, in my opinion, it looked like we were 0 for 1 because we had one chance. So we just weren't able to get on base to really do anything to push any buttons.
And you have to do what the game allows you to do. So I get asked a lot about stealing bases, and to me, stealing bases is a math problem. And then, if there's some gray area within the math problem, you probably do push the pedal. So did you just kind of not like how that math worked out whenever you got guys on base?
Yeah, I don't have, I mean, if you look through our lineup, I don't have a lot of base stealers.
Mm-hmm.
And my guys that can steal bases weren't on base. I think there's a situation where TK was up to bat. I think we were down 2 on Saturday. I believe Saturday. And nobody out. And it was like, hey, let's, I was thinking about buttoning let's get a guy in scoring position. Chase is coming up. Hit. But I'm like, the guy on the mound who had just went like an inning or 2 innings without giving up a hit, had given up 28 hits in 11 innings and walked 15 people. And I'm like, man, am I really going to just give this guy an out? Like, I feel like he's due to get out. And I was like, and then the last thing in the back of my mind is like, TK doesn't hit into double plays.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he's hitting the one all year, and I think he hit into two. It's like PK doesn't hit into a double play. And sure enough, 2-0 pitch on a guy who's thrown 88-90, you know, baseball sometimes gets you, and he got jammed up and he hits into a double play. So it's one of those where it's like you instantly regret it in the moment, but there's nothing within the game that tells you should bunt right there.
Sure. And so, I thought that was one of the bigger outcomes of the weekend, is because you finally you had some juice in the ballpark, and TK gets into an advantageous count and he gets beat by a fastball, and that's just, it's unfortunate, but I thought that was one of the bigger moments of the weekend. And look, we got to talk about some positive stuff here, because the group of players that was probably their last time to play at Bluebell Park, just the emotions of Ryan Prager's outing. I happened, I was calling the game, and I looked over there as he's walking off the mound in the 6th inning, and I look in the stands, and his mom's bawling her eyes out. I mean, she's got her head in her hands, and she's really emotional. And then you obviously have the moment with Brad Rudis, who was awesome. So just those guys that have been here since you've been here, watching them perform in front of the home crowd for the final time, your emotions taking all that in.
Yeah, I mean, I love those guys, man. And we came here, basically at the same time, and we've been here every year since. And yeah, it was tough. It was tough for them to kind of go out like that. But I reminded them after the game, like, don't let your experience here be defined by this. You've had way bigger moments and better memories than what we were left with this weekend. And those guys have just been awesome from the day I met them, and it's been cool to see them grow up. And they're just really good people, better people than they are baseball players, but they're really good baseball players. And seeing them play every time, I just get a joy out of being around them, especially guys like that. Like, those are two guys that I love to death. And that's going to be Jace's last time playing at Bluebell. That's going to be Kent's last time, Lampkin's last time. Those draft guys. So I hated it for them that, that's what they kind of get left with, but they have way more better memories that hopefully they can tap into. And it's just, I love all those guys, man. So it's tough to see their last game there for sure.
And then with Jace, you guys obviously make some mechanical adjustments. He hits the 2 homers on Friday, but I thought aesthetically the swing looked really good from my vantage point up and behind the plate. What'd you see from the side view?
Yeah, it was good. We just kind of narrowed him up a little bit just so get his hands moving back as he moved forward or somewhere along the line. He's had a lot of success in a wider stance, and when you're a bigger, stronger guy and you can be wide and still hit for power, that's great. And somewhere along the lines, it's just that the hands are not getting back to the right position consistently. So we worked on it a ton, threw him in some live ABs on Wednesday. We didn't want him to, take into the game for the first time without facing anyone. I think on Wednesday he maybe, got one hit out of maybe 6 or 7 at bats, but had really good at bats and felt really good. So credit to him, put in a lot of work from Monday all the way to Friday to be ready. And I think just looking at it, it looks right. So I'm excited to see what it does this weekend.
Coach, we appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Michael Earley on the Bumpy's Catering Hotline. We'll hit a break. We will come back and analyze the weekend, the season, everything in between with Ryan Brininger, and then we'll have Tara Henry to talk some softball after that. Right now, Heritage Films, when it comes to preserving your farm or your ranch's legacy, it's not just about capturing those pretty pictures, those pretty videos. It's about much more than that. It's about transferring the values that you built your operation on. That's what Chance McClain does. He tries to make sure that the story that is being told about your family ranch, family farm, is told in a way that really captures the essence of what your family is all about and why the generations who are going to inherit it should know everything about what that land was made for. From the timber farmers taking 100-year cycles to cattle ranchers preserving traditions, Chance McClain builds a blueprint for building character. Farm and Ranch Films captures the wisdom your grandkids are going to need, so what you need to do is visit yourheritagefilm.com, click on the Farm and Ranch section of the website, and call them up, 713-893-8341. That number again, 713-893-8341, is to preserve not just the story, but your family's foundation is Heritage Films. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 2 of the program. All right, Bronny. So baseball, David Nuño, Ryan Broniger. What this weekend feels isolated because of what we saw in April, right?
It feels isolated because of what you saw last weekend, too.
Yeah, but the totality of the season this weekend just adds to the misery, for lack of a better word.
You've been swept 4 times. You got swept by your most hated rival at its highest boiling point ever.
Yep.
And then you get swept at home by the worst ball club
in the SEC.
And when you look at the numbers, it's startling. And it's something I was saying on the broadcast with Monaco, and then it's something that I tweeted out yesterday, was like sometimes in baseball, the numbers don't always tell the story.
Yep.
Because it's a funny game, and I think I don't need to dive into explaining what that means. But sometimes you can look at the box score and go, okay, that really doesn't tell the story of what happened in this game. On the flip side, this past weekend, those numbers painted a very, very clear picture of what happened on the field. And Missouri, who came into the weekend 0-24, from the third inning on Friday night on, they won the series 22-2. They had double-digit hits Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Over the course of the final 24 innings,
6 hits.
Texas A&M had 6 hits. And look.
How many earned runs? 1.
The Sorrell homer yesterday.
That's it.
And they didn't have a hit on Saturday until the 6th inning. And they didn't have a hit yesterday until the 4th inning. And then that was the only hit outside of a Hayden shot flare to center field. So even the hit totals were low, right? But take them out. Take Mizzou's out too, and look at the quality of contact between the two clubs. One of those teams on the field this weekend looked like they were fighting for their postseason lives. The other one looked like they were 0-24.
Why?
That's the perplexing thing.
Yeah.
And I think that was the word Coach Earley used twice, is I'm a little perplexed. I am too. Like, it's hard to fathom. I've been around this game a lot. I've watched, and I've been fortunate to watch a lot of baseball with guys that I believe are elite baseball minds. I've picked brains of high-level coaches, and I'm always talking to scouts and just people that they're baseball people to their core, real baseball people. And it's hard for anybody to figure out what happened and wrap their brain around how we saw this team, beat LSU, beat Tennessee, beat Arkansas, be just right there on the edge with Texas, and you come up short 3 times to what we just saw this weekend.
To me,
But it goes back to, and Coach Earley addressed it, and he said, yeah, that's probably what happened, is I think they went into the weekend knowing that the ball probably wasn't going to go over the fence. And then they start playing on Friday, and they're like, hey, the ball's going over the fence.
So they try to keep that going.
Right. And instead of using what worked, their eyes got big, and the swings got big. I'm telling you what, man, the chase rate with 2 strikes, A&M compared to Missouri was crazy. And you could probably go a little bit deeper than that. Just the overall chase rate in any count was crazy. The foul ball, what I call 2-strike wins. So fouling a ball off or taking a ball, I count as a 2-strike win. Great, massively in favor of Missouri. A&M expanded the zone with 3 balls, and we talked about that on Friday in the baseball bunch. I said, you asked me for some keys of the weekend. I said, swing decisions. Because I thought the wind was going to be blowing in. You're not going to be able to miss-hit balls over the fence. And what did Mizzou do coming in at a really high rate? They walked you. So you had to be really good in 3-ball counts, and A&M expanded the zone so often in those 3-ball counts. It really is perplexing. And it's hard for me to wrap my brain around why it happened.
Well, and I think when you look at the kind of mistakes this team has made this year, it's not one isolated area. It's defense. It's late inning collapses. It's not being able to hit the ball. Like it's pitching.
It's a
melting pot of a bunch of bad.
Yeah, it's a big bad gumbo.
Yeah,
and every flavor you put into it has resulted in something that's not real savory at the end of the season. And look, I'm going to attempt to explain what happened. I don't know that I can, and I certainly don't have a good enough explanation that's going to satisfy the taste in a lot of people's mouths. Like, this isn't going to make it go down any better. You just got swept at home by Missouri.
Yep.
So there's really no explanation that's going to make anybody feel any better, and there shouldn't be. I mean, at this point in the season, there is no, there is no beauty contest. It's about results.
Are these the Texas weekend and this one? In Texas, at least you felt like you had a chance. You
did,
right?
No, you didn't feel like you had a chance. You played a way better brand of baseball
100%.
there than you did this weekend.
But when you take a step back, are those two of the worst weekends you've had at Aggie baseball in the last 5 years?
No. This weekend, yes, no question. But the Vanderbilt weekend, let's not forget what happened in Nashville.
No, but I think the Texas won because of the history there.
Yeah, but to me, you played pretty good, man. Like, I can look at the Texas weekend, and I broke it down, and you had some very poorly executed, especially in bunt defenses, and you threw one ball away. But right outside of that, man, you're right there, one of the best teams in the country, right? And I know you got to take the emotion out of it, and that's what I'm trying to do. Take the emotion out of it. When you talk about best and worst weekends or whatever at Bluebell Park, take the emotion and look at how the team played and the style of baseball they played. That this weekend was the worst. Vanderbilt was close.
Yeah, and I think emotions for me are part of it because of everything that transpired up to that Texas weekend. Everything.
Yeah, but you bounced back against LSU.
I know, but I'm saying
I don't have that Texas week. Not for me, at least.
Okay.
I don't have it up there. Now, what I will say about this Missouri weekend is, and I wrote this on the site yesterday, that walking out of the stadium yesterday, I was as befuddled and bewildered as I was walking out of Kyle Field against App State.
Yeah.
As I was walking out of the Rose Bowl against UCLA. Like, that's where I was with that. So if you're looking in terms of A&M sporting events, kind of how I felt leaving, that it was in those realms.
Well, you were at the Tennessee no-hitter, right?
I was not there.
You were not there. Sorry. You were at Vanderbilt. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that Friday, to me, felt like that, like it's over. And then they bounced back. It's very hard to believe that they can bounce back from this.
Okay, so if you're glass half full, and I think if you're in the A&M clubhouse and dugout, you have to be this way. Like, all right, you got to start with just going and winning game one at Georgia, but can you sweep Georgia? I've long said I thought A&M matches up better with Georgia than they did with LSU, Texas, all these other ones. Of course, you just got swept by Missouri, so what does that even mean anymore? But I still think that they match up well in that ballpark against Georgia. Like, they want to do the same stuff Georgia does. They want to hit the ball hard in the air.
Yep.
And that's what Georgia does in their ballpark, and it's conducive to that. So I do think that they can have some success against Georgia, but they could just as easily lose the series, like, no question. Like, Georgia's really good, and they're really good at home. But if you're looking for a pathway to the postseason, I think sweeping Georgia, just doing that would get you, like, really back firmly on the bubble, and then you'd probably need one in Hoover.
So you need to win 4 straight.
Yeah. If you don't sweep Georgia, I think for every game that you lose in Athens, you need to add one in Hoover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I still think you need one in Hoover now. But if you drop one in Athens, I think you need 2 in Hoover.
And if you drop 2 in Athens,
you need 3 in Hoover, 4 in Hoover. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So it's pretty bleak for sure.
Do you think some of the issues, and I don't even know if we can answer this question, but it goes back to the fall, some of the preparations for the season, or are these like in-game issues?
Well, is it an inability to adjust or an unwillingness to adjust?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fair question to ask.
Yeah.
And, Mike Earley is very aware, and he took responsibility. He said, and ultimately this falls on me, and he doesn't believe in blaming players, and I 100% respect that line of thinking. I 100% respect Mike Earley, and me and you both do.
Yeah.
Immensely. He could have very easily canceled today. Really could have.
He was early.
And so, look, that doesn't, again, it's his program.
Yep.
He understands that. He's aware. But I got questions of like, is it an inability to adjust or an unwillingness to adjust from the players? And if so, if it's an unwillingness, why is that? You know, like this is their head coach that they fought to keep, who they really like, and there's an unwillingness to adjust, right? Like, I just don't think that these players they're playing at this place because they're really talented players. So I don't think it's an inability. And so where is the switch mentally that gets them kind of unwilling, or maybe there is an avenue where it is overcare. I care, like I have to make it happen right now, right this pitch all the time, but there's too much evidence right now, the ups and downs, that for me to think that that's the line of thinking. Maybe early on, maybe early in the season when they struggled. Hindsight's 20/20 in this deal, and there were a lot of people raising red flags in that Houston weekend at the tournament at Dyken Park, and I was like, man, it's just still too early for me to really be super concerned. But going back and look at it now, well, I think that weekend where you lost to Oklahoma State and you lost to Arizona was a pretty good indicator of when this team was really poor, what we were going to see for the remainder of the season.
The totality of the season has been a colossal failure so far.
Yeah, and there's not enough good, there's not enough unlucky scenarios where you're going, hey, that's just, baseball stinks sometimes. Baseball does stink sometimes. The game stinks. It sucks. And I do believe every word that Hayden Schott said post-game. I honestly believe every word he said about the care factor amongst the guys in the locker room, but there's something missing between the care and the execution. And it's happened all season long.
Thank you, Bronny.
Yep.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Don't replace your damaged rims, repair them. They have experts there at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair, and they have over 2 decades of experience here in this awesome market. And they want to make sure that your wheel is returned to perfectly safe working condition. They road force balance all their wheels to make sure you get the smoothest and safest possible ride. They have experience in repairing everything from minor curb rash, polishing to more complex jobs like bent, cracked rims. Don't let anyone tell you you have to go get and replace that wheel. Let them repair it for you. They are so good at that, and they have a free evaluation that can save you hundreds of dollars. If your wheels are in good shape, but you just want to, if they are in good shape, but you want a fresh look, they can help you there as well. Create a custom look for your vehicle. And if you need tires to match your custom designs, they can help you there as well. They have active military and veterans 10% discount with ID, high quality work, affordable pricing. That's Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Find them at bvwheelrepair.com or in person at 508 Burnett Street in Bryan. It is the Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. As a reminder, they're not open on Mondays. Let's go to the Buffy's Catering Hotline. Tara Henry's joining us, the GM of Softball America and the head coach of the Great Britain women's softball team. Tara, good morning.
Good morning, David. How are you? I'm ready to talk some softball.
Well, you know what? It's funny. So today our show has been a little bit of two worlds. Softball, great news. Baseball, not so great. So we're happy to be happy again, talking about the number one team in the country with the number one overall seed. How do they do it?
Oh, my goodness. I can't say enough about head coach Trisha Ford and what the Aggies have done this season. They had the resume, and we had them slotted. We have two bracketologists at Softball America, and Gray Robertson and Brady Vernon, and one had them at number one, and the other one had Oklahoma at number one. So it was a tight race, but the Aggies, with the amount of top 10 wins, top 25 wins, their strength of schedule, their RPI, everything, just a complete resume for the Aggies, and an exciting time to be a part of that program, hosting the number one seed and a fairly easy regional, to say the least. Well,
For them to win it all, they're going to have to go against Oklahoma at some point, right? We know the Eva Empire that they are and how good they are. But it was kind of disappointing, even though I was happy, bittersweet, right? I was happy that they get a share of the SEC championship. I guess there was no scenarios where they could have just kept on pushing back that game.
You know, I was actually there in Athens, and it was raining all morning, all afternoon. It was going to be really tough to get that game in. I think the only possible way they could have done it is to potentially play on Sunday morning, which I don't think that was an option, or to play a doubleheader on Friday. But I think we were all chomping at the bit to see the Sooners take on the Aggies. It would have been an epic matchup. But hopefully we'll see that here in the Women's College World Series. But it would have been a precursor to probably what we're going to see in the next couple of weeks here.
Tara, I said at the top of the show, and I think you can describe it better than I can, that this team in particular, and I know a lot of great teams do this, take on the personality of their head coach. So kind of help us understand what that means when it comes to Trisha Ford, the way she runs this A&M softball team.
You know, she runs a tight ship, but they love her. And I think there's a lot of structure in practice. Winning is fun, and that comes through hard work. So a lot of hard work, kind of blue-collar mentality, and they just grind it out. You've got key transfers in Mac Barbara. You've obviously got the bat of Maya Perez that has come about as of late, Coco Woolley's leadership. And then I can't say enough about the freshman, KK DeMent. And of course, lefty Emily Kennedy in the circle. Just a lot of pieces to a puzzle that gives you enough to make a run at a title. And I think they've taken on Trisha Ford's personality. They've got a lot of swag, they got a lot of confidence, but that comes from putting in the work. And I think when you put the work in through day out, Monday through Friday, then game day's easy and it's fun and it's free. And you saw them jump out to a massive lead against a Texas team that was ranked 1 in the country at one point this season. So just a gritty team, a team that fights, and you can never count out the Aggies.
Talk about that dismantling of Texas too, because 14-2, they got up on them super early. Like it was like, we are here. And it was really, both games at the SEC tournament.
It was a statement. It was a flat out statement, and they didn't stop. And, I asked Coach Ford why Emily threw 2 days in a row and why she stayed in the game, even up by run rule in run rule territory. And she said, listen, Tara, we're going to need this heading into regionals and super regionals. Emily's going to have to go back to back. So she did that on purpose by design. And it didn't matter if they had scored 13, 14 runs. Emily Kennedy was still going to get her work in. She was still going to throw her bullpen to prepare them for this week, the following week, and potentially the Women's College World Series.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember early on when we spoke a few weeks back, or maybe it was a month ago, talking about how the workload for Emily was a little bit lighter this season heading to the postseason, and that allows her to be as fresh as she can and get this extra work.
Absolutely. So we're at a point in the season where that's key. And I think that's why she did throw back-to-back days. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened in that title game against the Sooners. I think we would have potentially seen a bullpen game. We don't know. But obviously we will never know that. But again, preparing Emily Kennedy to throw back-to-back days. And we'll see that potentially here in regionals. I'm not quite sure, depending on those matchups. They do have a tough Liberty squad. Dot Richardson will be bringing Liberty into College Station. But again, it is to prepare for the end. And I think that's what the Aggies have done week in and week out and proven that they can win series, best of 3 series.
Tara, another thing, too, is early on they weren't hitting the long ball. But, I mean, this weekend shows that they can hit the long ball. They can beat you multiple ways. What is impressive about how they kind of self-diagnose what needs to happen in a particular matchup?
I think what's most impressive to me about the Aggies is the diversity. They can hit the long ball, but there's also speed mixed in there. So they're not just doing it one way. They're not relying heavily on the long ball. They do have it, and they can hit it, and they will hit it. But they also have speed, and they also can shoot the gaps and really get moving on the bases. So it's constant pressure 1 through 9, and it's not the same pressure. So I think that's what makes the Aggies so effective. It's a lineup that you can't really breathe when you're facing it because, again, you're either going to have to face a ton of power. And you saw that laser that Maya Perez hit against Texas. It just can hit to all fields. And that's what's so impressive about the offense is that they can do so many things and make adjustments, not only throughout the game, but in at-bats.
If this team does make it to Oklahoma City, how important is it that they're so good on the road in neutral site games, 20-3?
It's huge. I think that's a lot of it. A lot of teams can play well at home when they're sleeping in their own beds and have their same routine, but the Aggies have proven that they can do it on the road, and that's something that's going to be really key. They'll get to sleep at home, hopefully, for regionals and supers, but then heading to Oklahoma City, that'll be a next test and matchup. But again, they've just won so many different ways, and they run not only at home, but on the road at neutral sites. And that's, again, a very versatile team, a very durable team, and a team that is super gritty and just flat out gets it done.
Tara, is there a team that got a more difficult draw than expected?
LSU. Mm-hmm. The Tigers have a really, really tough road. They've got Nebraska and Jordy Ball in their regional, and then we'll have to face potentially Tennessee and Carlin Pickens to make it to the Women's College World Series. To be honest, that is a really tough route for the Tigers and something that softball fans should keep an eye on.
How many SEC teams do you think make it to Oklahoma City?
Ooh, that's a great question. You got 7 of 8 are hosting supers. So we've got a pretty good shot at potentially having 6 or more. 7
maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It just depends. UCLA matches up with South Carolina. We'll for sure have Tennessee or LSU. That'll be an SEC team if the seeds hold again. We'll see. Maybe 6. I'll go with 6.
6. Tara, we appreciate it. Let's talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Tara Henry here on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Around Aggieland, and then we'll get to Billy in the 10 o'clock hour, plus Nick will have around the SEC as well. Right now, if your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, you need to check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking about the fun ones. We're talking about All Aggie Hullabaloo, the gathering. They all welcomed tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities to get your brand in front of those attendees. All these events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. And these options include title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation and recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, then check out a partner who's been the organization supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com.
Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. Oh, hey, I'm on TV. Hey, everybody. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is now time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. And with that, Kaylee Dreyer is in the house.
Hey.
Hey. You've got some interesting notes for us here on Around Aggieland,
Yeah,
don't you?
well, we talked a lot about baseball.
Wait, can I stop you for a minute? Can we talk about something we haven't talked about yet?
Sure.
Do you know what I'm going to talk about?
No.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Didn't you graduate on Friday?
Thursday.
Thursday, sorry. Congratulations on graduation.
Thank you.
Everybody text in. Congrats, Kaylee. Put it on the YouTube and the TexAgs chat.
Yes, positive vibes.
Only positive vibes. All right, what do you have for us?
This morning we talked a lot about baseball and softball, and I have a few things to add to that. So starting with baseball, the Aggies wrapped up regular season play at Bluebell Park with a 21-13 record. And I do have a few positive notes from these 3 games. In Game 2, Brad Rudis pitched a season-high 4 1/3 scoreless innings to go along with a career-high 7 strikeouts. In Game 3, Gavin Lyons made his first career appearance in relief in SEC play this season, pitching 3 scoreless innings along with 3 strikeouts. And our number 1 overall seed softball team, looking at the SEC tournament, KK DeMint, Amari Harper, and Coco Woolley were each named to the SEC All-Tournament team. KK DeMint matched the SEC tournament record with 9 RBIs, while Amari and Coco each averaged .833 at the plate to become only the second and third players to do so in tournament history. And to add to this, the semifinal run rule victory over Texas marked the third semifinal run rule win in SEC tournament history and the first since 2018. A&M's 14 runs were the most scored by a team in SEC tournament history. And last thing, the number 2 Texas A&M women's tennis team took down number 17 UCLA 4-2 in the NCAA tournament super regional, and the Aggies became the only team to advance to the last 4 Elite Eights. Texas A&M will play number 10 ranked Tennessee in the quarterfinals on Thursday.
Dreyer, great job. A
Thank
lot of
you.
people saying congrats, by the way. So
Yay. I can't wait to read them.
You'll be busy reading those. All right. Nick, you watch probably, you and Kay Nagley probably watch the most softball on the team, right? Or on TexAgs. We all watch it, but you guys, I feel, have taken and you have always been a softball guy. When you watch this team play, what is something that's outside of the wins stands out about how they play?
I think something that probably doesn't get talked about enough is they're super sound defensively. Like if you watch a lot of the teams that A&M plays, they kick the ball around, a little bit, and the Aggies always take advantage of that. But I feel like A&M doesn't usually make those mistakes. They're really sound defensively, especially the left side of that infield with Kennedy and Coco. They are really good, and KK plays a really good second base for a freshman as well. But I feel like we hear a lot of people talk about they can do it all. They can play the long game. They can play the short game, especially with Coco and Kennedy Powell. They're both perfect slap hitters to lead off the lineup and get on base. But I think the thing that stands out to me more than any team that they play is I think they're just super sound defensively. And we all know the saying, David, defense wins championships, right?
Well, yeah. I think it's interesting, too, that not that long ago, I think they were even number 2 or 3 in the country when this was a topic, was they don't really hit a lot of home runs. Their offense is good, but you look at the rest of the SEC, and what did they just do this weekend? It was all about offense, right? The pitching was spectacular, but it was about offense.
Yeah, KK DeMint, 2 bombs, Maya Perez with a laser home run that almost took out a cameraman. But, they flexed with the Amari Harper, which, honestly, I feel like Amari Harper is the kind of I don't know, if we want to talk about last year's baseball team, I feel like Hayden Schott was quietly one of the really, top hitters in that lineup. Amari Harper's quietly the best player on that team. And I feel like she doesn't get as much attention because she was hurt for a little bit. She maybe doesn't have the power numbers, but Amari Harper's really impressive, and she hit probably the longest home run in that route of Texas.
You, in the first segment, reminded us about the 4 outs. Tell that story, because not just because it's been the mantra, but the why behind it, Nick.
Well, yeah, A&M was 4 outs away from advancing to Omaha last year in the Austin Super Regional against Texas. Maya Perez, hit the home run to put them ahead late in that one, but Texas ultimately rallied and beat A&M. So that's been Tricia Ford's rallying cry all season, or all off season and this season. 4 outs, and I know we'll maybe ask her about it later on this week when we have her on the show. But I think that 4 outs had a lot to do with the outcome on Friday night.
So A&M seeking their first title since '87, looking to add to the 2 that they've done, '83 and '87. Their 35-8 all-time record when hosting NCAA regionals, and they had 5 players earning all the SEC honors, including 2 first-teamers, Emily Kennedy and Maya Perez. So that just tells you a little bit about the depth and how good this team is. All right, hour number 3, around the SEC. Billy Liucci. Billy will talk baseball. Billy will talk softball. Billy will talk football. Billy will talk, we might even bring up a basketball topic, because there's a basketball a topic that I'm kind of monitoring, and I don't know, I'm excited / concerned. I'll explain that later. It's TexAgs Live. Whatever you do, don't make Nick a tad angry. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I feel my voice changing as we speak here. And Billy Liucci should be in studio soon. Right now, though, let's do Around the SEC. Presented by Jaxer. Jaxer Group, if you are looking to build your dream home on your lot, let the Jaxer Group help you navigate the entire project from start to finish, making sure that your home is perfectly suiting your lifestyle, your preference, and your budget to turn your dream home into reality. Please visit them at jaxsir.com. It is the Jaxer Group. Nick Savage, tell me something good.
So Greg McElroy, he's a good friend of the program, right? Our buddy.
He's a friend. Yeah, he's a friend
of the program.
Of the show.
Greg McElroy. He put out his top 10 quarterbacks coming into the 2025 season.
Okay.
Might as well just feel like we haven't talked too much football today, so why don't
I haven't seen his list yet. I know that you put it on the rundown. I did not look.
Yeah, good.
I'm going to guess that the SEC, this is a total just me outside talking, does not have that many represented on the list. I would say 3 on the top 10.
So you're close. There's 4 total.
Okay.
4 total. There's a few on the honorable mention list as well. We'll get to that, I guess, here in a second. But we'll go down the list. We'll start with number 10, Haynes King, Georgia Tech. He's on that list. Fair enough?
I love it for Haynes. I don't know if I believe that he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, but I'm proud of him, and I hope he is. So congratulations to Haynes.
Number 9, our first SEC representative, DJ Lagway.
Okay. Yeah. They won in November, and he was the reason. So, yeah. Okay.
This one, Sawyer Robertson from Baylor.
Don't know enough.
Yeah, don't know enough.
Don't know enough, but sure.
I'm okay with this one. I probably would put him higher on my personal list. Lenore Sellers, South Carolina.
Okay, so
comes in at number 6.
So you said 4 SEC quarterbacks.
Pardon me, 7. That's number 7.
Number 7. You said there's 4 SEC quarterbacks. This is the
Correct.
second one.
Yep.
That means there's 2 higher than him.
Yep.
Okay. LSU, right? Nuss. I don't think they'd put Arch there just yet. I'm trying to think. Okay. Just continue on.
Carson Beck, Miami, number 6.
No! Oh, he's not SEC, so okay. But still, no! Carson Beck is not better than Lenore Sellers. No!
I agree with that. Yeah. Garrett Nussmeier, LSU. There's our next. He's at number 5. Here's our next SEC.
I saw him on a list somewhere at number 1. Okay. And I don't think he's number 1. Put it this way. If you have a great offensive line, he's a top 5, top 10. If he's got a suspect line, I don't know, buddy. So that tells you all you need to know.
Drew Aller, Penn State.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Sam Levitt, Arizona State.
Dude is a winner.
Yep.
Dude found a way to get it done.
John Mateer.
Not
Oklahoma.
enough info. Sorry.
But he's number 2 on the list. I don't know. That's one where I'm like, how do you, again, you don't know. Again, I don't know. But that's SEC quarterback number 4. Guess who hasn't been on the list so far?
Who?
Arch Manning. He's not on the list.
All right.
He's one of his honorable mentions. So,
of course.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. And number 1, according to Greg McElroy, Cade Klubnik.
All right. 2 years ago, people were talking about Cade Klubnik being the worst of the 3 that came in, with Quinn, with Connor, and Cade. Like Cade was supposed to be the dream child, and A&M went the went the Connor Wigman route, and then you have you know what happened with Quinn, who goes to Ohio State to Texas, and now Cade has lasted the longest. Well, Connor's still playing, and has an opportunity to rewrite his whole story. So congratulations to Cade.
Billy Liucci entering the studio now.
Okay. What? No, we're not in a commercial, Billy. What? I think I knew this was coming. What did I do?
Thought you were in a commercial.
No, I can go hit a break if you want me to.
You want to for a long segment?
Well, I mean, it's only 10:05.
Okay.
Probably not.
That's fine. Don't be getting on me when we're late.
When we're late? When you're late?
For a break.
Oh, so you have a long thing.
Listen,
We can go 15 minutes.
I don't want to hear it. I had a rough breakfast.
Oh.
I'm not even going to sit.
First world problems.
Make sure it's not there. Well, on a Monday morning, you can't get runny eggs. To start your week on a Monday, you can't get runny eggs. It is a tone setter. Ricky Martin. It is a
Ricky
tone
Martin.
setter.
By the way, he's
Actually,
very good career.
Actually, you look more like
I've noticed this a bit for you.
what's the guy's name? The actor, not
I change my hair every show now.
Richie Valens. Who played
La
him?
Bamba?
Yeah, who played him?
Lou Diamond Phillips.
You look like
I look like Lou Diamond Phillips. Yeah. Really.
I mean, I could say worse.
You can.
Guy was like an 80s, like heartthrob in the 80s. Young Guns.
Yeah, Young Guns great. Part 3 coming soon.
It's not bad. It's just it's a new look.
I changed my hair every show because I'm growing it.
It is crazy.
Sometimes I go the
You're
straight.
like the man of 1,000 haircuts.
Yeah, it's the ability to go long. And
I
might do the
keeps me-
Jesus look soon.
It keeps me off balance. I come in here it's like a new host every week now.
I'm going to use different accents moving forward. Where were we?
You do that
I do.
accidentally.
I do. Where were we? We had something.
We haven't said anything yet.
Oh, so
Kay wants to start with softball. And I like that because it's going to piss off all the vultures that tune in to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, vultures. They're all tuning in and they're like, oh, where is it? And so we'll start with softball just to piss them off.
Well, and
them listen
they deserve
longer.
it. They are the lead. They're the winners. They're the number 1 overall seed.
Look, what they've been doing for 3 years, in year 3, I should say, has been phenomenal.
Yep.
And what Tricia Ford and her staff have built with those players, the way they play the game. We talked about this very early in the season, the end of last year, down the stretch. And, I mean, I think this weekend is pretty indicative. It's a pretty good indicator of how far they've come. I think they would have had a great chance to beat Oklahoma, who's the dynasty, the juggernaut. The way they were playing, the way they beat up Texas, the way they embraced beating up Texas. This is what I talked about when the Aggies got swept up in Austin in baseball. I said, I just want A&M athletic teams to, yes, it is bigger than the other games. They are your rival. It doesn't mean to obsess over them. It doesn't mean that if you don't win the game, it defines your season. I think what happened in baseball this weekend will define the season much more so than getting swept at Texas. They sandwiched a Texas sweep around winning at number 2 and beating number 2 at Bluebell. The Texas series mattered, but you went into it with a massive win and you recovered and won a massive series after that. It's what happened to Missouri that's going to define their season. Unfortunately, and we'll get to all that. It doesn't have to define your season. You can still put a target on their back, and you could still have it understood that, hey, this is a little bigger than everything else. And after what happened to them last year, when they didn't blink as a 16 seed against the 1, and felt like and knew that they should have won that super regional in Austin, there's no doubt in my mind that they had that circled, and just Tricia saying 4 outs, and that was a mantra. They circled that team and were probably pissed off when the schedule came out that they didn't get to play. Not had to play Texas, got to play Texas. And that mindset, I hope, starts to permeate through Aggie athletics. That was what I was talking about. And to go out and score 6 before there's even an out and run rule them and beat them 14-2. And this is not like picking at Texas. They have a great softball program. All the more reason that's a special performance and win. And all the more reason I think they would have been ready for Oklahoma, and I think they would have hoisted a trophy, but hopefully they catch them in OKC. And there's a path, it's not an easy path to get there, but as the 1 seed, you certainly played your way into a much more manageable path than anybody else in theory. So, I see Stanford on there, and they're always, I know they lost that pitcher to Tech, but they're always, they're a quality program. They're always elite in all the women in Olympic sports. So it's not an easy path, but the way they're playing and as focused as they are, man, they feel like a team destined for something special. And the fact that they were kind of robbed, they weren't kind of robbed. Mother Nature robbed them, but that they were robbed of a regular season trophy because of a rain out. They would have split with Oklahoma, right? Rain out in Athens.
and then another rain out again in Athens that cost them a shot at OU in the tournament. And look, that's a tournament that up until like a year or two ago when Trisha Ford got here, A&M was pitiful in that tournament.
Yeah.
I think they had never won a game. And for them to share a championship, and I hate that it's shared, I think it's so stupid, but I don't know I didn't bother to dive into the weather
What they could have
forecast
done, yeah.
and what, so I'm not going to, I know a lot of people immediately love, and Greg Sankey's like every fan base's whipping boy when things go wrong, and I don't, and maybe it was ridiculous and they could have played that game on Sunday. I don't know, so I'm not going to rant and rave. I just think it's silly that they have to share a conference tournament championship, but whatever.
They're going to have to beat them
They
at
have
some
a chance
point.
to play for something bigger. And yeah, they might have three cracks at OU in Oklahoma City. We'll see. They're good enough. You're going into the postseason. You're good enough to win a national championship, and that's all you can ask for. And the fact that they're doing that in year 3, after coming within a run, I guess, right? I think one run of 4 outs from being there a year ago in year 2. It's pretty remarkable what she's doing there.
This is an impossible question to answer, but do you think they're the overall number 1 seed if they didn't have the weekend they had at the SEC tournament, like the beatdown of Texas and South Carolina, that volume of win? Or do you think they won 3-2, 2-1, they'd still be the overall? I feel like that had that left a great mark.
It probably, yeah, just left kind of an indelible impression on them. But I think they still would have had they won those, and maybe it would have come down to that game in the championship between them and Oklahoma. I don't think it really matters 1 or 2. It does a little bit when you look at like who you play, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
there's no one. A, you don't know who's going to get there, and B, of those top 8 seeds, there's no one you're looking at really and going, oh, I'd love to play them. I look at Tennessee was just number 2 when A&M went up there and beat them, and they're sitting there as like the 7 seed, I think. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big a deal.
Well, this team too, whenever they've had a setback, they have rebounded quickly. And then when they've had these matchups that you worry about, right, because of the ranking, but they have found a way to either pimp slap them like they did this weekend, or just take the series outright.
It's funny you say that because I said that to someone the other day and we were laughing. I was like, when's the last time you've heard pimp slap?
Is that still a thing?
No, it's not. It's probably from
pimps are probably out of
late
work right
90s.
Now. Oh.
Probably from the late 90s. And that's why we were laughing.
That's because we were a product of the late 90s.
No, but I said it as a joke. You just said it
I said it as fact.
Yeah.
What else can I say? I can't say the other one.
No, you can't.
Thork slap.
You'd have people coming for you.
Yeah, there'd be an article and tweets. And yeah, I'd have to answer questions to reporters.
Oh, man.
All right, let's do this.
You and Olin, by the way.
Oh, tell me about
No, I'm going to tell you one thing.
Yeah.
And one thing only.
Okay.
I am going to, you're about to get banned. I'm about to put my foot down on these, and I hate to do it to people that love it. I'm sorry. I'm about to put my foot down on these, the meat commercials. Y'all are one step away.
It's not
Y'all
me.
are one step away.
It's not me.
You went today, there was like, you put a foot over the line. Y'all were like sitting on the line with your legs hanging over it like you're sitting on a park bench or on a swing set. You're just sitting there dangling over the edge there. And when you do that, Olin, I'm trying to protect Olin because he's on the verge of just diving in. You guys are sitting there, feet hanging off the side of the boat, in the water.
There's a great shark there. Great white coming.
He's on the verge of just plunging into some like warm East Texas lake.
I'm gonna agree with you. It's on me.
Yeah.
It is on me.
Him.
Because I could just read.
You think you guys are like in this old 1560 where you guys thought you were like revolutionizing Houston radio,
we did.
Edgy humor, trying to be the ticket. And it's just not. I cringed. I cringed
too.
Yeah, I cringed. And I can't imagine. Most people don't even know what we're talking about. They probably don't even listen to commercials. But some people probably are going, Liucci, we love the the 1775 bits. And I'm like, I do too. I did right up until
Today, yeah. You know what? I agree with you. But
y'all try to get too cute.
You know what? I owe you a queso mac and cheese.
Y'all are kind of like the baseball team when they go up 6-1 and are hitting home runs.
Are you telling me that we had a ninth inning?
That's a segue, my friend.
All right, we'll do that. We'll hit a break. Attention business owners. Your commercial insurance needs and deserves a specialized attention from somebody who cares, and that's Rollo Insurance. The Rollo Insurance Group offers comprehensive consultation for business of all sizes, particular expertise in family-owned operations. Their independent agents provide an objective guidance on liability, property, workers' comp, and specialized coverage. Every business faces unique risk, and from industry-specific liabilities to location-based hazards, Rollo Insurance business specialists take time to understand your operation's specific vulnerabilities. They'll create protection plans, scale it with your company, preventing coverage gaps that could threaten everything that you have built. As your business evolves, your Rollo agent becomes a valuable resource for risk management. Find your dedicated business insurance partner at rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That is rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO. Living on a Prayer here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Thanks to Chubbs for the picture of Blue Diamond Phillips. Appreciate that.
I wonder when the last time Texas A&M played on NBC. Notre Dame game, September 13th. They just released this, Aggie football. Notre Dame, September 13th, 6:30 p.m. on NBC. Night game in South Bend on NBC. I love it. I love it. I did not like the Friday Texas game. I don't like it being set there, but I freaking love Notre Dame, Texas A&M at night on NBC. That's going to be something. That's going to be a hell of an environment. I'd like to go there a week early. Can we just spend the week in South Bend?
Remember we talked about that?
The week before is Zach Bryan and Gillis at, right there in front of Touchdown Jesus. Perfect. But no, that's going to be. I love the idea of that fires me up for the early season. That'll be the highlight of football in September. That and that early home game against what I think is going to be a pretty good Auburn team coming in here. That's going to be a massive early test at Kyle Field.
Yep. I got some football questions for you, but should we get to baseball first?
I mean, is it like a segment's worth of questions, or is it like you have questions that just pop
could
into
be.
your head?
No, I wanted to ask who are some teams in 2025 that you're down on.
Okay, we'll do that. Let's do that later.
Yeah,
I'd like to do that because I was looking at some of these preseason rankings and who I think was too low versus too high. We could tackle that in a little bit.
So Aggie baseball. I'm going to just go back to your tweet earlier. 1 earned run from the Aggies at home in the last 20 innings versus what we had 0-24. Missouri team whose pitching staff carried an ERA over 9 into the series. You put that in all caps, by the way. It's hard to even put into words how bad A&M has been at the plate through 2.5 games. This was then.
They didn't do anything.
Didn't get any better.
So when they lost on Friday night, it was terrible. And everybody just flew into the tank. And it was the end of the world. And I told Zane this, and I told other people, it sucks. They'd been flirting with winning games here recently. That Georgia series, I think 2 of them, they were flirting with winning. They were playing with later leads. But it was like, okay, you're at home. That's a damn wake-up call. It's an inexcusable loss, but you need to recover. Basically what just happened, and it was bad, is you really went from needing to win no games in Athens to now all of a sudden you got to finish out this series and you got to go win 2 in Athens. It felt like a 2-game swing. And it really screwed you, but it wasn't unrecoverable. And well, how can they win in Athens? Well, because they won in Knoxville, they won in Fayetteville, they'd beaten LSU, they played Texas in 3 one-run games. They could go to Athens and win 2. It wasn't the end of the world, even though it felt like it Friday night. What happened the next 2 days and their inability to recover. And so in the 3 games in totality, I heard you say it was a quad 4 loss. It was not. It was a quad 4 sweep. It was unheard of. This is Wofford coming into Reed Arena and beating A&M 3 days in a row. It was, App State coming to Kyle Field, beating them 3 weeks in a row.
Yep.
But not even, because Wofford is one of those Southern Conference teams that when they have shooters and stuff, you don't really want to schedule them around Christmas time because those type teams can upset you in the middle of the year, in the dead time of year. They can be in the March Madness. App State is a respected G5. We're several years into the Jimbo era at that point, and it was shaky. You didn't know what Haynes King could do yet. We didn't find that out, unfortunately, until he went to another program. He's doing great and couldn't be happier for him or his dad. But at that time, you didn't know that Haynes, it wasn't like you had a proven Cade Klubnik going in there and all of a sudden, man, what just happened?
Right.
You knew that man, this is dangerous. Missouri's 0-24, man. It is the most shocking result for me since I've been covering A&M athletics. Blowing that big lead at UCLA, 77-0 at OU. Coach Fran, first year with that team, they were not good. They weren't supposed to be good. OU was a wagon under Bob Stoops at that time. 77, midway through the third quarter, ridiculous. But you knew that team was infinitely better, and they were going to pummel A&M that day. UCLA, A&M, again, that was Sumlin's last year. There wasn't a ton of hype around the Aggie team. There was a lot, that still wasn't proven. And it was, again, like the comeback was shocking, losing on the road at UCLA to Josh Rose and them. Some people picked UCLA to win that game. They were 0-24. They were all that stood between you and reaching the tournament when all hope seemed lost. And you didn't just lose a game. You got swept. And as the weekend went on, just in the nicest way you could say it is they got their asses kicked. And I dispute the people that say they quit. If you want to call lazy, undisciplined at-bats quitting, and that's your definition of quitting, then I agree with you. But I don't think they quit trying. I think what happened, and I was listening this morning to see if you guys went down that road with Early. I think this team overlooked Missouri completely.
Yep.
And people are circulating a tweet because a month ago, I did too. Well, yeah, of course I did. So did everyone in college baseball. So would anyone. You overlook the team that's over. But we did say during the week, they're playing some teams close. A&M needs to be focused in. You can't assume a sweep. But never would I have thought they'd get swept. My concern was going to be, do they drop a game to the Tigers? Because A&M, you did know that they weren't above it. They'd been playing really well. They weren't above having a letdown. This team has done a terrible job this year under pressure. Not you go back to the LSU game last week. It was great under pressure, and Caden Sorrell's hit. But they've done a terrible job, with the weight of expectations early in the year. And I get it. It's the highest expectations ever. You're banged up. You're injured. You lost two of your best hitters, not to mention the guys that left, and you lost your best reliever, not to mention the guys that there was a lot new coach. Those guys are trying to figure it out. You look at that lineup earlier in the year. Everyone's like, look at all they bring back. It was like Jason Hayden. People forget Kent started for 2 weeks last year. It was a lot more transition than people thought, and all that pressure weighed down on them, and they didn't handle it well. They hit rock bottom after Tennessee, and they recovered, right? They did recover. It's not we thought they recovered. They recovered for 5 freaking weeks. They overlooked Mizzou. They hit 3 or 4 home runs early. They're up 6-1. And, man, it was so obvious to anyone watching that they let their guard down. They lost any kind of edge they were playing with. They were taking bad swings, and Missouri wasn't. Missouri was desperate to win a game, and they could taste it. As soon as you let them think they had a chance with a leadoff single in the 9th, and a walk, and a hit batsman, and I'm not blaming the relief pitching at times sucked this weekend. The bats were the story. The lack of hitting is what was the story to me. And Early did say, Mizzou hit them better than anyone. Yep. How in the hell does Missouri come in here and hit your pitching better than they hit your pitching better than Texas did, better than LSU did just a week ago? Hell, better than Arkansas did. That tells you how poorly this Aggie team performed at the plate, on the mound, mentally more than anything. And what I think happened, Nuño, I said they haven't performed well under the weight of expectation. They've performed well under pressure in the last month or so, but when the pressure really went up a level in Austin, they got swept. Once they lost in that 9th inning, again, I don't excuse it. I get it. You went to sleep. You let a team hang around. You had a couple of relief pitchers implode. You looked up. You go, what the hell just happened?
Right.
You would have thought they would have come out and clubbed Mizzou. But here's what happened. Missouri's confidence went sky high. They were playing with complete house money. I'm watching their dugout. That team was having a blast all weekend. So they're as loose as a baseball team can be. Meanwhile, you could watch A&M from Friday night through the weekend, collectively and individually, press more and more with each plate appearance, more and more as each inning went by that they didn't get a hit. And I watched a team just, as honestly as I can say it, they melted under the pressure. It was some of the pressure that Missouri was putting on them, but when you have one team that's completely loose and having fun playing the game, and one team that's just gripping it too tight and tighter by the inning and watching their season slip away, I understand how it happened. It doesn't make it excusable. That was as bad a performance by an A&M sports team as I've seen, in terms of like this. What was at stake versus your opponent? And the venue, they had good crowds supporting them. Like, what was at stake versus the 0-24, man? I mean, there's just no other way to just 0-24, one of the worst SEC teams in history, and you got swept. And by the end of it, it wasn't competitive. To me, that this team, it pisses me off for them. I care, but like, we cover the team. It makes it, harder to talk about and cover. As a fan, you walk away frustrated and pissed off. You go out there and you go, but really, I'm pissed for them. It's like, guys, how could you do that? Because, and I say guys, I mean players and coaches, the whole deal. They didn't come out there, but you would have thought they scaled a mountain, David. Lou Diamond. They scaled a mountain to get back. And they were back. And people want to pull me last week saying this team is playing as well as anybody in the country. If you disagreed with that, you're a dumbass. And maybe it makes everyone else stupid for believing in them, but it wasn't a 2-week thing. It was a 5-week stretch where you won on the road in Knoxville. You won on the road in Fayetteville. You beat LSU literally a week earlier, and you went to Texas and you got swept, but we've talked about you played 3 games with the tying run on second base in the 9th inning. And I think the winning run, go-ahead run, on first in at least 2 of those 3 games, if not all of them, they were playing top 5 baseball without question, and they were doing it for 5 weeks. They went 6-6 against number 1 and number 2 in 4 different series, and 3 of those were on the road. They were absolutely playing at that level. So they scaled this mountain and did all that work climbing up Mount Everest to get themselves positioned to go into the postseason and be this feared team, and they let their whole season get derailed by a damn speed bump. And that's not, it's not an insult to Missouri for the way they played and competed. They made you kind of go, man, that's impressive. Like, you'd love to see them do that against someone else. Like, that was these guys came to compete. As Bronny kept talking about, they battled on every 2-strike count like crazy. So much more so than A&M did, where they're just flailing at bad pitches. The Aggies lost complete discipline. Missouri played with it. If you'd have told me Missouri was a top 2 team in the country watching them this weekend, I might have believed it. Some of these 98, 99 mile an hour arms, but they're not. And A&M performance was so bad it made them look that way. And that, to me, man, it was so disappointing and disturbing to watch. But again, they did all that work to get there, Nuño, and to see them kind of just let it slip away from them in that manner at home was just like, wow, like totally unexpected. And people want to look at us, and it's the Twitter fans or whoever, but it's also other fan bases. They want to look at us and say, well, you guys, man, the one thing going around this weekend was all the Aggies on the cover of Baseball America. Most of the fans complaining about it were packing out that place for the press conference. Everyone that's talking out of a different side of their mouth now on the A&M side, and I'm talking about the loudest chirpers. Had you lost all those players to the portal and some of them to Austin, LSU, Tennessee, it would have been a complete and total meltdown. They rolled the dice. They took a risk. And it was a known risk on a coach that had never been a head coach before. And more turnover than people realize. And then you factored in the injuries and all that. You took a risk thinking it was going to work out. It didn't. You thought they had fixed it. And by the way, so did the whole country.
Yeah.
Was our guys at SEC Unfiltered had them last week as the third-ranked SEC team going into this weekend. Based on how they're playing, they do the week-to-week. Like, where are they at? A&M's third best in the SEC. Why would you do that? Well, because they beat LSU this week. They took Texas to the limit in every game, who was number one. They went into, blah, blah, blah. Everyone thought A&M and everyone in college baseball, Kendall Rogers, D1, all the SEC network, that's a team you don't want to play in the postseason. Well, because of their performance this weekend, it is going to take a miracle. It'll take a miracle for them to get there. They're going to have to, at a minimum, win 2 out of 3 at Georgia and maybe go to the SEC tournament final, or sweep Georgia and win at least a couple games there. It's not impossible, but it is impossible with that. Anywhere close to that. And it's impossible if they're, if they go in there. Look, this team has been at its best when it was at its lowest. Losing that game to Tennessee, 10-0, no hit. They came back. They've been at their, get swept by Texas, come back, win a series against LSU. They've been at their best when they're at their lowest, but they've run out of time now. They're out of time. And it was not you played through in the movies, they cut their way through the jungle, the SEC jungle, with like a machete and fending off every tiger, and there's a random longhorn that pops up in the jungle. I don't know what it's doing there, but we have to fight that thing, and then you got to go fight, there's some random Davy Crockett looking volunteer that comes out, and there's a hog, and they fight through all that, and you see you've reached the promised land. You see the river and the mountains and the sun and the green grass, and you just get right. There's like a little bump, a rock, and you trip over it and die. Like, how? Yeah. It's inexplicable, and it's so we can talk more about it. But to me, that was I don't think there was any reason to expect that. I think the whole country outside of even this room and around all of baseball thought this team was peaking, and they had recovered and they had found themselves. But look, it's a brutal, it's a sweep. That's the thing that's mind blowing. It would have been a brutal one loss, and they couldn't recover mentally. That was a very mentally soft weekend, and it's not what I do, Bristle. It's not for lack of effort. It's not. Like, I know people think that, but I think they were trying too hard, and there was no need to do that. Just be a mature team and handle what happened Friday night and say, okay, we got to regroup. We're the better team. Get back to our approach. Hit and pitch confidently, and let's go handle our business. And they were unable to do that.
Yeah, right now we're talking about the Daily Company, a family-owned licensed insurance business. They offer HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and generator services available 24/7. And the HVAC services that they do offer is thermostat repair, refrigerant leaks, furnace failures, seasonal tune-ups. They also do plumbing with the leak repairs, the clogged drains, the heater installation, maintenance to keep those pipes in top shape, electrical wiring, outlet repairs, and upgrades for safety, efficiency, and generators. They can repair them. They can make sure that they're up and running the right way. Installation to ensure for preparedness for power outages. They serve College Station, Houston, and Austin. Upfront pricing with no surprises. What you need to do is call up the Daily Company at 979-2060-2020. That's 979-260-2020. Or visit them at GoDaily.com to experience the daily difference. Daily is spelled D-A-I-L-E-Y. GoDaily.com. Is the daily difference.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
All right, Billy. So where do we go from here? Georgia Series, SEC tournament, and then an off-season potentially of a lot more questions.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those series. Look, let's be perfectly blunt. Like, it changes significantly how you view the season. and I said this, and I think it was a very fair way to put it, was even if had A&M somehow gotten snubbed from the postseason, I know everyone would, the first thing you say is, well, if you miss the postseason in year one, like with this team, and the whole never have a better, I disagree with that thing. I do think this team should absolutely be in the postseason and should have been at Omaha, even after everything, a real threat to reach Omaha again. Like, in other words, on last Friday morning, 4 days ago, my opinion was that team should contend for Omaha. Mm-hmm. They should, at the very least, be playing for a regional championship. And I know that wasn't the goal before, but I'm saying, like, from where they had come back to, they'd figured it out. Without question, they had. And I understand, like, and maybe part of why they didn't hit this weekend, too. And this is just, you're in the SEC, deal with it. But the Bats got silenced by Texas, really good pitching staff. And then the Bats got silenced by LSU, even though they won the series. Elite pitching on the LSU side. But, look, I saw Florida go in there and score more runs. I saw Arkansas score more, even in both those teams. Florida won the series, Arkansas lost it. But elite pitching quieted the Bats down. You didn't play a midweek game, maybe to get them going again. So now they've been quiet for 2 weeks, and it carried over. But that's not an excuse because Missouri's ERA was over 9. That should have been your weekend to get them back going and get ready to go play home run derby with Georgia in Athens, because that's what they do over there. Like, this was your opportunity to not only clinch your postseason. So when I said it should be graded as 2 separate seasons, like, I thought judging the performance of Mike Earley and this team was like, hey, man, we could talk about everything they were up against early in the season. It's not, well, it kind of is an excuse when you have fixed it and you're playing better, because you could see that first half and go, okay, here's everything that they were dealing with. Sorrell, Grahovic, Stewie, the guys they were replacing, a lot of transfers and freshmen. And you had Farr and Keel both starting at one point. Binderup was new. Kent had never, been a shortstop. He was a 2-week starter previous. Like, there was a lot going on, and they stumbled early. They started to feel the pressure, but they recovered. So it's okay to me, like, when they were playing so well, you could kind of give the reasons why and go, it's understandable to a degree. They shouldn't have been as bad as they were, but you understand why, because they fixed it. So I'm like, you judge this team and look at it, and it's like Early and his staff and the players righted the ship since Game 2 at Tennessee. Again, it's not 2 weeks. It was a 5-week stretch. Half of the SEC schedule, they were playing as well as anyone in that conference. So you go, this is more what we expected it to look like. They did it. They got it here. Now let's see how far they can go. This weekend did it, in my opinion, it changes everything. And now you're looking at, if they don't win at Georgia, you lose what? 3 of your last 4 conference series. You would have lost 6 out of 10 conference series. You'd have gotten swept in Austin. You'd have gotten swept by Missouri at home with your whole season on the line. It changes how you judge this year and how the job. So I think, it puts into play now all the things that you didn't want to be put into play. And Trev Alberts and the decision makers, there's a real decision to be made now. And they're going to have to make it. And I don't think anyone thought we'd be having that conversation today after this weekend. And again, it was a leap of faith, and I don't think it was a bad decision when you think about what it kept together. It was, I've compared it to like Edo staying at LSU, where they're going, if it doesn't work out, we can rectify it. I don't think anyone wanted to do that after year 1. So I'm hoping they right the ship. There's not any time left, but there are still games. in which they can write it. But man, unfortunately, this weekend was so bad that in my opinion, it puts all that stuff back into play and back on the table. And I think that's the fair way to put it, and I think that's the realistic way to put it without going out there and making any definitive claims of where this thing's going. But I do think, and the players that all wanted Coach Earley, I know what you're doing. The players that all, was it 10 o'clock yet?
No, we have a break before the 10 o'clock.
Okay, the players that all wanted him, the way they performed this week, and they're going to have to shake that and really step it up a level and show that you want to give this thing more of a chance to keep going.
We'll be back. All right, final segment of TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy, we've got 45 seconds before the end of the show.
We got no one in here. We didn't have any.
Kaylee's busy doing stuff in the back.
Yeah.
So
we're understaffed, huh? Everybody's
it's
home.
summertime. Yeah. So I think we'll do this. In about 40 seconds, we'll say goodbye.
Okay.
We'll then do a TexAgs overtime on texags.com. Got to be a premium subscriber to check that out. Just hit the live button when you do that. Because we got a football thing still to get into. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's anything else baseball-wise you want to get into.
I don't know. We'll see. But definitely want to do the football thing that you had planned that we just zipped right on past because I was yapping and because...
those are the best shows, Billy. Those are the very best shows.
I was made late by Zane and Bronny in the lobby.
That's going to do it for TexAgs Live on a Monday. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you mañana.